Good morning. I'm Ken Griffin, and I am running for governor in the state of Texas in the year 2010. That's a short 2.5 years away, and man, oh man, do I need your help to win this thing. If you don't live in Texas, right about now you're saying, well, why the heck should I help you? I don't give a dang about Texas. Let me tell you why you should care about Texas, because Texas is going to care about you. Ooh, sounds awfully political, doesn't it? Although there are many aspects and many parts of the platform that I'm advocating, there are three important things that I absolutely know that you're going to agree with, unless you work for the federal government. One, here in Texas in 2010, we're going to eliminate federal income taxes. No person in Texas is ever going to have to pay federal income taxes again. Number two, we're going to eliminate property taxes on single-family residences that are owner-occupied. Can you just imagine how nice that would be not to have to pay property taxes anymore? It'd be incredible. And last but not least, we're going to bring gasoline down to $1.50 a gallon and/or find technology, which currently exists today, that allows vehicles to get 100 miles a gallon. We're going to do all three of these things. And of course, they can't be accomplished without your help. We need your help to do this. And the reason why you should help, especially if you don't live in Texas, is because we can't do these three things. I can't do these three things unless we also do them in the other 49 states. Because nobody in their right mind is going to be able to say, hey, Texas is doing that, why can't we? If what we need to do is to take the lead in one state, could be your state, but here we're saying today in Texas, we're going to do this. We're going to eliminate these taxes, and then we're going to bring the idea to your state too. We're going to change the whole focus of America. What we're doing with these videos is to provide an opportunity for you to sit, or whatever you're doing, and sit with me for a few minutes and just talk about a couple of ideas and thoughts. I want you to get to know me. I want you to be able to judge, if you will, my sincerity in what I'm talking about and what I want to do. So I want to give you some ideas and thoughts about how I think. So you have a basis for judgment, because I want your help. And I want you to know that I really want to do what I want to do. I would like to. I always laugh when I say this. I'd like to have an honest government. I don't want any crooks and criminals there anymore. I'm tired of people that care about their pocketbooks and don't care about me. I don't want you to care about my pocketbooks if you can't care about everybody's. And I especially don't want you there getting rich because I voted you in. You're supposed to be there to help. Today, right now, what I'd like to talk to you about is the Constitution. That's what this tape is all about. A number of years ago when somebody told me to read the Constitution, I resisted, scratching like holding on to the door sill. You got to drag me in to do this. I'm not going to do this because I just don't get it. It's just too complicated. I can never read that old language. Let me tell you, I can't tell you that I'm an expert on the Constitution, but I can tell you that some of the information I know has personally saved me over $100,000. That's a significant amount of money, right? And I say that because I know what the Constitution, I know some of what the Constitution says. What a great thing. Have you ever been in a situation where somebody tells you that you have to provide them with this information or that information? Maybe a government agency comes to you and says, hey, fill out this form and do this and this and this and sign right here. We have something called the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution, which states that you have a right to be secure in your property and your person and your things. It means that somebody can't just come up to you, or matter of fact, it means that anybody cannot come up to you and say, show me this or do this. When somebody asks you that, it doesn't matter who it is, the state, the federal government, anybody else, you can say, hey, no, I'm not going to do that because there's this thing called the Constitution here. I'm not going to do that, right? You might also tell them about the Fifth Amendment, where I don't have to testify against myself. I don't have to give you papers that are going to allow you to prosecute me. No, that's called the Fifth Amendment. That's a wonderful thing. Now, it might be a little bit too late for us to talk about the First Amendment, freedom of speech, because today we have free speech zones. That's a sad thing. So if the president is coming to town, and he's right over there, you can complain all you want, you can call him any name you want, as long as you're over there. That's a free speech zone. I don't like that idea. We can talk about the Second Amendment, gun rights. This is a very emotional issue. I've asked you before to put away your emotions on guns. Remember, the Second Amendment has nothing to do with hunting. It's not about guns, and it's not about rifles. It's about what? It's about arms. Arms. You know what arms are? Arms are tanks and bazookas and rifles and machine guns and all that sort of thing. The Second Amendment was written to protect us against tyrannical governments, against tyranny. Right? Did you know that in Sweden, when you're 18 years old, the government issues you a gun and has you take lessons in that? There's a story, and I'm trying to remember if this was, I think it was World War I, where the Germans, for some reason, needed to go through Sweden to get to where they were going. So a German general visited Sweden and said, "Hey, you know, how big is your army?" And the Swedish general said, "Well, I've got 1 million men in my army," which is basically just the citizens. And the German said, "Well, I've got 5 million men. What would happen if I brought my 5 million men into your country, crossing over this land?" And the Swedish general said, "Well, I'd call out my army. Each one of them would fire 5 times, and we'd go home." I love that story. I think that's great. You know, we need to have arms issued. We need to have rifles issued to every single peace-loving American. Here in Texas, a number of years ago, we had a situation occur where a crazy person came into one of our restaurants, a local restaurant chain here called a Luby's Cafeteria. Maybe you heard this in the news, and he killed a lot of people. And 2 of the people that he killed, there was a mother and a father and a daughter, an older daughter. The daughter at the time was 25 or 26, and she had a gun. But the sign at Luby said you can't bring it in, so she left it in her car in the glove compartment, being a good lawful citizen. And her mother and father were killed because of that. You know, I hate to go to a cliche, but guns don't kill people. People kill people, And if I can't kill you with a gun, I'll kill you with a hammer. I'll kill you with a screwdriver. I'll kill you with a knife. It's not law-abiding citizens that kill. But I'm sorry. I'm getting off on another subject. I'm not here to talk about guns. I'm here to talk about the Constitution. The Constitution is a wonderful thing, and it's really good for you to understand it because it's talking about your rights. And remember, rights are not something that are given to you by the government. Rights are something that were here before the government. Rights are something that were given to you by God. And rights cannot be taken away by the government. As a matter of fact, if you're paying attention recently and we hear about NAFTA and we hear about trade agreements and we hear about the TTC, the Texas Trans Corridor, and we hear about all these agreements and special trade agreements, what the government is trying to do now is to shift us into a world government. Well, that might be going a little far. What they're trying to do is erase borders between Mexico and Canada. And if they can get us to shift over to the United Nations as our governing body, the United Nations also has a constitution. And the United Nations Constitution says that you have free speech as allowed by law. And you have the right to assemble as allowed by law. And you have other rights as law permits. In other words, with the United Nations, we are given rights which can be taken away from them by that government. In the United States, we have a constitution that has not given us rights, but protects our rights that we had from God already. That's a very important aspect about the Constitution that you need to know and understand. Now, if we get to, let's say we get to the 9th and the 10th Amendments, what are those amendments? Those amendments tell us that we created the federal government and that the federal government is not more powerful than us. It basically says that, hey, federal government, anything that we didn't talk about, anything we didn't tell you about is reserved for us, the states. This is an important video. There's another part to this video. Stay tuned. I'd like you to see it. Find it in that little thing over there on the right over there. Okay? I'll be right back.